Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right, so rookie minicamp has happened, and I think it's been interesting because Cleveland has gotten our first taste of what the Shador Sanders experience could be like here in Cleveland as far as the media attention that it brings. And I think there's a lot to take away from this. I think there's a lot to talk about with Shedeur. And I think there's a lot to talk about with how people are reacting to it. Now, sometimes when a big circus comes into town, right, when there's national media and everything coming into town, and it doesn't have to do with how the team is playing, but the fact that the team got somebody, right? We've been through that. Those haven't been great experiences. And I understand why Browns fans are almost instinctively nervous to apprehensive about anybody who brings that level of attention, right? We've seen it with Johnny Manziel. There's a lot of excitement about him, and then nothing. We saw this with Odell Beckham, a lot of excitement about bringing him in, then nothing, then a lot of scrutiny about how the Browns are using him. A lot of that led to, in some people's minds, the Browns getting rid of Baker Mayfield eventually. All this stuff, right? It was a bit of a circus, and now we get to Shedeur, who, you know, there's a lot of people who care about the Sanders family, and by proxy, they are very interested in what Shedeur is doing. And sometimes these folk don't do themselves any favors, because every time I go on the Browns video with Shedeur on it, there's like always one asshole in the comment section making sure you know they don't give a fuck about the Browns, but like they're here for Shedeur. And like those people aren't going to have a good time. Like, I don't know what they think Cleveland is. I don't know what they think this fan base is like. I don't know. They think it's like something slight, like Jack. That shit ain't gonna fly in Cleveland. And maybe you could get it off in the springtime when not that many are paying attention. But go to Cleveland Browns Stadium and talk shit about how you don't care about the Cleveland Browns to see if you walk out of it remembering how you walked in, right? Like, it's not gonna be how you think it's gonna go. Right? Like, so if you're a Shedeur fan and you're one of them people popping off in the comment section, talk about how much you don't respect the history of the Cleveland Browns, I would advise you shut up and listen to some people who know better. You know, people who've been here a while, get in the back of the line and understand, you know, y'all need to shut the fuck up a little bit, right? Like, that's just real. You're going to have a bad time if that's not how you're going to go about it, because these fans will reject you if they sense that you're not in it for the Browns, you're just in it for an individual. Ask Odell stands how it went with them, right? Like every stand base that's ever jumped in here, we don't care about the team. We just care about this player. This fan base has chewed up those stands and threw them out. Deshaun stands, Baker stands, Odell stands. They've been chewed up, spit out, and left. So please have some respect, right? Now, let's get to the Shedeur part of this, right? Because a lot of this shit surrounding Shedeur has nothing to do with how Shedeur has reacted to anything that's happened to him. The fact is that if the NFL wanted to make Shedeur a bigger star, having him fall to the fifth round was the perfect way to make him a bigger star. Before the draft, before Shedeur fell in the draft, people in my life who don't care about football weren't asking me about Shador Sanders. Now, people in my life who don't care about football are asking me about Shador Sanders after he fell. The fact is him falling to the fifth round, it's one of those rare cases where it made him a bigger star than what he is. It made him a bigger story, more sympathetic, a national story. People are rooting for Shador Sanders because he's that classic underdog story now. And whether you like that or not, that's just the reality. Shador Sanders is the number one story right now in the NFL. His draft fall was the number one story. How he does in Browns camp will be a top story. He is one of the top stories in football because he fell in the draft. If he had just went 10th overall or 21st or even 40th, I don't think this is a big deal. But because he fell to the 5th round, which anybody who's watched his tape, anybody with a opinion that people respect has watched his tape, thinks is an absurd thing that he fell to the 5th round. I myself included. I think it's absurd that he fell to the 5th round. I think when you see him throw the ball in rookie camp, he don't look like a 5th round pick. But he fell to the 5th round. That made him a bigger star to a lot of people. So a lot of the mania surrounding Shador Sanders really has nothing to do with how Shedeur is acting at this moment. Because if we're judging Shedeur by how he's handled the draft fall, how he's handled being a 5th round pick so far, and everything he's done in his 1 week as a Cleveland Brown, I would give him passing marks every level. I think he's done a tremendous job. And this is where I have to give Deion Sanders credit. Now, if you watched my videos before, when you look at the draft fall, I thought that a lot of it probably landed on the Sanders family, right? Like, that's where it kind of broke down with his draft stock. And I think that's still true. I think the Sanders family had a lot to do with why Shedeur didn't get drafted as high as his tape suggests that he should get drafted. But I also think the Sanders family has done a great job adjusting to this new reality of him being a 5th round pick and really coaching up Shedeur, or maybe even Shedeur himself has just reacted to this and responded to this the right way, right? There are wrong ways to respond to a draft fall, and there are right ways. There are ways where you're like, oh, this guy's going to probably be pretty good because of how he responded, right? The guy who gets the number of players taken before him tattooed, or, the guy who is more motivated about proving himself right. Like, that's the guy that you get behind in that kind of a situation, and not necessarily the guy who is still upset about it a week later, right? And to Shedeur's credit, it seems like whatever lesson needed to be learned was learned in that painful week, and he's come out of it more prepared for what's ahead of him. I thought he handled his press conferences really great. He still has that classic confidence that Shedeur is known for and that you want him to keep as a quarterback, right? He still believes he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you want your quarterback to have that confidence. But also there's a sense of, humility, right, there. And I know from life, because I'm a very confident person in my own life. Life can humble you sometimes, right? And how you respond to how life humbles you is everything. And that dictates how everything goes. It's not that you're going to get humbled one day. Everybody gets humbled. No matter how much money you got, no matter how good you are at stuff, no matter how talented you are, everybody gets humbled. It's not about getting humbled. It's about how you respond to it and the lessons you learn from it. And that's the vibes that I pick up with Shedeur over rookie camp. I'm not going to overanalyze how he looked at rookie camp. Truth is, NFL rookie camp, for those of you who don't know, is kind of like NBA Summer League. You can look good at rookie camp and it not mean a damn thing come preseason or the regular season, right? Like, we've seen plenty of quarterbacks excite rookie camp. We still ain't had one yet, right? So I'm not going to get carried away with the fact that he looked good at rookie camp. He should. He was one of the best college quarterbacks in the NCAA. Same thing with Dillon Gabriel. And you're going up against guys who were in the NCAA last year. You should kill those guys when you go up against them. Like that, you should look special when you go up against them, because at the college level, you were special. And I think Dillon had some great moments in rookie camp from what I could see. And Shedeur had a lot of great moments there where he showcased the deep ball accuracy that he has above everybody in this draft class, the touch that he has on the football, all of that stuff, right? The above average arm strength as well. So it was nice to see him showcase these things that we know that Shedeur has to offer. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be Tom Brady because he had a good rookie camp, right? This is going to be a tough waters to navigate, because there are a lot of people who want to make this one quarterback or the other, right? Either you're a Dillon Gabriel guy, or you're a Kenny Pickett guy, or you're a Joe Flacco fanatic, or you're a Sanders guy. I want to urge the importance of understanding that if you are a Browns fan, you should not pick any of these groups. Like, let somebody win the starting job and play good and then become one of them guys, right? Like, if Shador Sanders goes out there, puts together a great season, makes a Pro Bowl, be a Shador guy because he's your quarterback for the next 10 years. But why be early, right? If you aren't already a Shador fan, if you are just a Browns fan and you want what's best for the Browns, then you got 4 quarterbacks. Let's see which one takes the job. Let's see if the guy who takes the job does anything with it. And if that happens, then jump on board. Right? There ain't no reason to be early for this if you are here for the Browns. Let me put this on. I got the draft hat. I thought this was a pretty clean hat when I saw it on draft day. So I'm a rock it for the rest of this video. But that's the main thing, right? If you are a Browns fan, if you are here for the Browns, you ain't got to be early. You ain't got to be a Shedeur stan. You ain't got to pick a horse in the race before they run it, right? You are in the position to see who wins the race and see if that horse wins more races, and then you can back that guy, right? You ain't got to be early. Ain't nobody going to know how early you were on the Shedeur train. Don't nobody care, right? If he ends up being that dude, then you're going to be a Shedeur guy. Half of y'all going to get Shedeur jerseys. It's going to be all right. But if he isn't that guy, then, there's going to be another thing like Johnny, another thing like Odell that comes and goes and was hot when it was here, but then, kind of fizzled out over time. No reason to be early, no reason to pick a favorite, no reason to root against somebody wearing brown and orange, no reason for any of that, But that's kind of the stuff that I've seen over the weekend. I've been very impressed with Shedeur. I've even been impressed with Dillon Gabriel from what I've seen. Harold Fainin looks pretty good. That looks exciting. Everybody see he looks way bigger than he did in college once you get him up to some other NFL guys. So super excited about that. Carson Schlesinger looks good. Some people were like dogging on Mason Graham early. Just let Mason Graham. I don't care how a defensive tackle or offensive lineman looks when there's no pads on. That's my rule. I don't care. If a defensive lineman is killing them with no pads on, to save me the air that it took you to tell me that, I don't care, right? I do not care. If a defensive lineman is looking amazing in 7-on-7s, who cares? When they get the pads on, how do they look? Now, that's when I'll judge Mason Graham. A lot of y'all just doing a lot because y'all didn't like the pick to begin with. Y'all wanted somebody else. So look, I'm one of those people who wanted somebody else at 2, but I didn't get what I want. But I can't have my ego be so big, even though I do a lot of work behind this, with film and everything to see who I like. Look, my ego, my opinion is my opinion. If the Browns don't do what I want, still got to give what they do a chance. So, anyways, thought the rookie camp went pretty well. Quincy Junkins looks like a beast. Physically, you get him in the pads and everything. We'll see how that goes. Again, running back in similar position, like defensive tackle, where I really don't care what you look like in your shorts and t-shirts, what you look like with your pads on. That's going to be how I care. So I ain't going to really be in a position to judge any of these guys, especially in the trenches, until we get to about, mid-August? They get a couple preseason games under them. That's when I'll be able to judge them. But so far, so good. And, with what Shedeur's been asked to do, I thought he's done a great job. Same thing goes for Dillon Gabriel. And I know, look, some of y'all are Dillon Gabriel stands. You're like, why isn't Dillon getting this attention? The truth is that Dillon isn't the number one story in the NFL. Dillon didn't fall in the draft. Dillon went earlier than he was supposed to, right? Like, Dillon is not the story that people care about. Shedeur is the story that not just Sanders fans care about, but the anti-Sanders people, the general sports fan care. He's like one of the top stories in all of sports. If you just walk into a sports bar and you say Shador Sanders, odds are that 80% of the people in that bar are going to have an opinion. He's the number one story right now. Even with the playoffs going on in the NBA, he's one of the top stories. It is what it is. We've dealt with this before. And I think how those situations have played out make us nervous. But Shedeur is not Johnny Manziel. Shedeur is not Odell Beckham. Shedeur is not Josh Gordon. Shedeur is Shedeur. So it's going to be up to him to see how he gets out of this situation, and how he proves himself right over time. And I think so far, so good with Shador Sanders. I'm trying not to get too carried away because I've made the mistake before of getting too carried away or being too hyperbolic on a young guy, and that makes people, want to push him off the pedestal or be really rough to him. So I'm trying to just be optimistic, but understanding that playing football as a rookie in the NFL comes with a lot of unique challenges that aren't guaranteed to be overcome in year one. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. You have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.